Good day, everyone. I hope you're all doing well on this Sunday evening. It is June the 8th of 2025, 7:01 p.m. here in the communist shithole known as Ontario, Canada. So I want to talk about a term called preparing the landscape. This is a technocrat term. This is what the evil ones do when they're planning their evil, and they want to get things ready for the evil things they're about to do. And it's kind of like predictive programming a little bit, but a little different. Has similarities for sure to predictive programming. I'm sure you've heard that term as well. So I was reminded of this by a debate that I had with a viewer earlier today. The viewer commented that me talking about, it was about the LGBTQ plus CIA, the one called Keep Your Sexuality to Yourself. And he said to me that what I was doing by making that video was giving power to them, giving energy to that whole situation, and I shouldn't be doing that. And it's fine. We had a nice debate, and he's a good guy. He comments a lot, and we didn't fight or anything, which, he's respectful, and I'm respectful back. So having debates is fine. It's when people get name calling and cursing and swearing. That's not a debate anymore, but this was just a regular debate, which is totally fine. But we disagreed because this idea that talking about anything like that is giving energy to it, or talking about negative things brings on more negativity, or that whole idea, that is something that was injected into the world when they were preparing the landscape for things. They did that through the New Age movement. They convinced everybody through social media campaigns and different things. It was a thing you heard constantly. When I was on Facebook, you heard people say this all the time. Stop giving that energy. Stop giving that energy. That was something technocrats put in everybody's head. They don't want you talking about certain things. They'd rather you just be complacent and run around ignoring whatever they're doing, so then they can just keep doing it and there's no pushback. There has to be pushback, and we have to educate people on these things. And just talking about something does not necessarily give it energy or fuel the fire. What I said back to him was, he said, if we just ignore it, it'll go away. No. That's somebody that must have listened to the technocrats when they were injecting this into the world. Ignore things that are unsavory and they'll just go away. That doesn't happen. If you don't push back on certain things, if we weren't pushing back the way we are about that, with men being in women's bathrooms and playing in women's sports, if we didn't have any pushback at all, they'd go all the way with it. They would not stop. The only reason they haven't got as far as they want is because of pushback. So that was a campaign I remember really well. I actually had one girlfriend since my divorce for only 4 months. It's the only woman I was with since, my wife left almost a decade ago. She was kind of new agey, was the big issue why we didn't stay together. And so much into that idea, she really drank that Kool-Aid. You couldn't talk about anything but positivity, roses and daisies and sunshine all the time. If you even mentioned something that she thought was negative, she'd flip right out. No, stop the negative talk. You're going to bring negative things into the house. And now, while I do believe there's some truth to that, I'm never going to believe that we can just ignore everything we don't like and it's going to go away. It doesn't happen. So they prepare the landscape. I'm going to give you another example of them preparing the landscape. I'm sure you've heard the term correlation does not mean causation. This is the real big one they got everybody with. Let's say you gave everybody a pokey poke, and you knew it was going to do all kinds of damage. Or let's say you were about to do that. Not you've already done it, but you're about to do that. And you know it's going to just wreak havoc on everybody. It's going to do a lot of damage. But you really don't want people to make the connection between all this stuff that's happening and the pokey poke. You want people to believe it's other things. They pump this term into society, that this is another technocratic preparing the landscape campaign where you just heard that term. Every single day you heard it somewhere. Correlation doesn't mean causation. Correlation is not causation. Well, let's say you gave people a pokey poke, and then over the next 2 years, excess deaths go through the roof. Myocarditis is through the roof. Young people are having strokes at a rate never seen before. These cancers, turbo cancers they call them, that's through the roof. Everybody's got turbo cancer and they're dying in 3 months from diagnosis. Correlation, not causation, right? And that's exactly the term that kept being pumped out about it. It's pretty darn obvious when that's the thing that's the big variable in the world, is all of a sudden you gave everybody in the world a pokey poke and then all those things happened. But they got everybody convinced. Don't forget, correlation is not causation. They prepared the landscape. It's the same exact thing. They know people are going to make that connection very simply, but they've trained everybody. You even see all the big podcasters, but let's remember, correlation's not causation. Well, some things are just damn obvious. If all that stuff's going on, and everybody had some shot that's experimental and not even really tested proper, do you think it's that? Correlation's not causation, remember. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. That's what it is. They prepared the landscape well, and they got everybody parroting that phrase. It's preparing the landscape. There's another one. There's a lot of people that believe people are being replaced, especially famous people. They get rid of the real one and put another one in their place. Well, they come up with capgras syndrome. Have you ever heard of capgras syndrome? If you watch Invasion of the Body Snatchers, it's in that, actually, which is pretty interesting. Because that's kind of what we think is going on, is something like that. Well, capgras syndrome is a condition in which a person has a severe mental illness and believes that maybe their spouse or their family member or their friend or whatever has been replaced by someone else, even their pets. They say it can even be your pets you believe have been replaced by another pet. And they call it capgras syndrome. It's an interesting condition. All of a sudden, a whole bunch of people are just going to say, I think my wife's not really my wife. I think she's someone else. This is a mental illness. Really? Really? Preparing the landscape. Preparing the landscape. Parroting phrases that technocrats inject into society. You'll notice I try not to use those buzz terms and catchphrases. I'll talk about them and explain them, but I don't use them in my everyday life. I will not repeat the garbage that they give people. Black fatigue, that's another one. I did a video about that, and everybody got mad as hell at me for that. It's a technocrat term. All these things are technocrat terms. And they're not to be repeated unless that's what gives energy to them. That's what they want, is to see you repeat that same garbage. That's exactly what they want to see. So they always prepare the landscape, folks. They always. Predictive programming is similar. They show you movies of what they're going to do, and it helps to project it into reality. And it helps you to accept it when it actually happens in real life. The whole COVID-19 thing, There was video games that simulated it. There was movies that simulated it. One called Contagion. It was exactly the same thing. Then they did Event 201 to project it into reality and to prepare the landscape. That's what they're doing. Don't fall for it. And you can even detect it sometimes. I'm not on social media anymore, and that's the healthiest thing I ever did for myself, getting away from that. I advise all of you to do the same thing, really. But if you are still on social media, keep an eye out for it. The technocrats want you to start parroting something. They'll inject it into Facebook, and people are ridiculously bad for, like, everything for a while was a nothing burger. Everything was a nothing burger. If I heard that term one more time, I was going to slap somebody. Nothing burger. That's the stupidest term I've ever heard in my life. Everybody was saying it. Everybody. Soundbite. That's another one. Soundbite. See, I can't stand these terms. I cannot stand them. It's a form of sorcery, is what it is. And it's called preparing the landscape.